I am Anna Seewald, and this is Authentic Parenting, a podcast about growing ourselves while raising our children. I'm a psychologist, educator, and parent coach. And on this podcast, we explore how you can connect to your authentic self, practice radical self-care, and raise emotionally healthy children. Let's break the cycle of generational trauma for a more peaceful, kind, and compassionate world. Today, when a friendship isn't generous, rethinking gratitude, generosity, and happiness. I am joined by my dear friend, an infrequent guest on the podcast, someone I always enjoy exploring the depths of different topics with, a licensed clinical social worker, Kristy Lauricella. If you're new to the podcast and this is your very first episode, this is probably not the best place to start. To get a better sense of what the podcast is about, you're better off starting with one of the expert interviews. We hear a lot these days about boundaries, self-care, protecting our energy. But what about generosity? In this episode, Kristy and I explore generosity, what it means, how it shows up in everyday life, and why noticing it can quietly transform how we experience the world. We discuss generosity as a mindset, not just big acts of giving, how to receive from others, why acknowledging small acts of kindness matters, and the connection between generosity, gratitude, and happiness. Along the way, I share something I've been wrestling with, realizing that one of my friends may simply not be a generous person. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. What do you do with that awareness? Do you pull back? Do you confront it? Or do you learn to accept the friendship for what it is? Kristy gently challenges me. At times it feels a bit like therapy. It's honest, vulnerable, and perhaps a bit like two friends catching up with the microphones on. If you're curious about how to receive generosity from others and offer it more freely, if you want the inside scoop on how I found myself resenting a specific friend who I felt was being selfish, and if Aristotle's discussion of the 3 types of friendship intrigue you, then stay. As I mentioned, Kristy and I have recorded many episodes together over the years, and I'll link some of them in the show notes. Conversations like death and cupcakes, colonoscopy and cannoli, why women need to connect more, navigating adult friendships, and others. Please enjoy, and thank you for listening. Well, Kristy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Anna. It's always a pleasure to be here with you.
I'm still happy to see you in this form. You texted that you have your word for 2026. Why don't we talk about that first? Otherwise, I'm going to forget.
Well, I think I said it in the episode of just the idea of generosity.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. I guess I wanted to kind of follow up on that because it really, setting that intention with you and carrying that idea into the new year has been, even though it's only a week into the new year, it's just been really beautiful. And wow. I wanted to thank you for giving me that opportunity to choose a word. And
wow, that's good.
Yeah, I think it came from the yoga retreat I went on, and I had, set the intention at the retreat in October. I was feeling so depleted and tired, and I was surrounded by all these new women, and like my tendency is to kind of like get to know everybody and chat and talk and, and I really just was so tired of people, but I wanted to be surrounded by these new people. I was happy to be there. So when we had to set the intention for that retreat, I set the intention of receiving the generosity of others. And it made for a really nice retreat because it gave me permission to be quiet and to not feel like I needed to give. And so it also felt kind of selfish, but it wound up being really meaningful for me. And I know that just being present with people can be generous. But anyway, I guess what I felt has been happening over the past couple weeks, thinking about that word, is when you are like looking for the generosity of others, you realize like how it's everywhere. It's not that it's appearing newly, it's just that it's always been there, and taking the time to like really notice it and acknowledge it and appreciate it is just so powerful.
Wow. I love that. I have so much to say about this. So true, Christy. It's so profound. I feel like when we get stuck in our own stories, narratives about us, poor me stories, or who did what to us, the grudges, or my mom, my dad stories. Like, there's so many narratives we have about us and about our life. And I feel like it is hard to receive love, generosity, compassion for most of us, right? I think especially if you have like relational trauma and your boundaries were violated and you have been a people pleaser and stuff like that. So let's just call it that. It's hard for us to receive. And when you receive, it makes you vulnerable and you have to be present. And that's very uncomfortable. But what I'm loving is maybe this can be a practice for people who have a hard time with this, especially to try to seek that in their life more and more to get comfortable with that because it's so true. Connection is always there. We're just so not, we're kind of blind to it. We're not seeing it. It's like hidden in plain sight. And I feel like most of us who need deep connection, who long for intimacy, we're seeking it without realizing that it's there. We just have to like drop our agenda, become more present, and take the veil off and just see it or touch it or go towards it, you know? It's not like it's lacking in our life that
Right.
makes us want it more, right? It's not the lack. Or maybe in some cases there is lack, but maybe it was lacking in your family per se, in your with your parents, but it's available in abundance, around you.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes you have to ask for it, but it can be hard to even know what you're asking, what you need, and how to ask for it.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, I have so many examples now. It's just such a fun lens to take into the new year for me. Like, I went to Best Buy with my mom. She needed to get herself a new computer.
Mhm.
And the young man, his name was Chase. I hate going to stores like that. It's just not fun. I'd rather just buy something online and not talk to anybody in terms of like technology. But my mom really wanted to go to the store and look at things. And this young man, he was probably like 21 or something. And he was so pleasant and he was so knowledgeable and very willing to talk to us, not pushy, just really so pleasant. And I just was able to see that, and see how, I mean, just be so relieved too that someone can be working at Best Buy and clearly enjoying their job and being patient with two ladies who are asking all these questions that he probably has answered a million times before. And it was just really nice to be able to appreciate him. And I don't know, like I was debating on whether to like say something explicitly to him to acknowledge that, I mean, I wound up not doing that, but I think if I could do it again, I would.
Yeah,
Just really
I,
name for him what he
yeah.
how just his being like with us made the experience so pleasant and easy.
It would have made his day, and like it would have been so uplifting and, encouraging and validating. I think I always do that when I have the opportunity. It doesn't, some people like are critical or like my daughter is cringy, but I feel like it's important to do that, you know? Because
And
when
I
other people do it to us, it feels so great.
Yeah. And I have another example that I actually did do it. We
Mm-hmm.
were at a restaurant for like with our in-laws celebrating Christmas a few days afterwards. And our server, she was so professional, so pleasant, so accommodating, so patient with my in-laws who are older. And towards the end of our dining experience. We were getting ready to leave, and she was like, can I get you anything else? I said, I just want to say, I don't think there's anything wrong with being a server at a restaurant. I said, but I think that you are destined for, bigger and better things if that's what you want. I said, she said, I received that.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
she had this big smile on her face. And, she said, you don't know how much that means to me. And it made me feel good, to be generous with that. And so, yeah, so I'm really so thankful that I had to come up with a word for 2026. It's working out beautifully for me.
This is nice. And you're finding it, you're seeing it, finding it, seeking it. I had an experience with a cashier at the store as well. I had a few items in my cart, and there were two teapots, like little Asian teapots, the heavy ones. One was slightly bigger, black, the other one was like blue. And I like them both. And I don't need them, but sometimes you do need them. I'm like, do I need this? Do I not need this? Do I get the big one, the smaller one? But it's like I was debating, right? It seems like it's an obvious choice, but it was giving me. And so she said, so let me scan that. I said, I don't know which one to get. Like, I'm not sure. She said, honey, let me give you advice. When it's not a definite yes, it's a definite no. Give it to me. You're not getting them. And she took it from me and put it aside. And just heaviness was lifted. Like, I don't need to make this decision. She said, listen, she said, that's how I live my life. When there is a choice and you're debating this one or that one, then that's not like eliminate that choice. Then it's not a definite yes. And I'm like,
Mhm.
wow, this is such good advice. Such
Yeah,
good advice. Like we hesitate so much about so many things, right?
yeah. And
So if you're
like,
hesitating, then it's not the choice for you.
yeah. But I think, what you're acknowledging is her generosity in sharing that wisdom with you on the spot.
Yeah,
Like
on the
totally
spot.
unnecessary. She could have just
Yeah,
gone about her job
yeah,
and scanned
yeah,
the item and put it in your bag or
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like you, I commented, I said, wow, you can be a life coach. So like we started a whole conversation after that, like holding the line. It was kind of interesting. To your point that, expressing is important, giving feedback is important. The people who are cashiers or waitresses, I mean, they are people, and sometimes they do their jobs so generously,
hmm
right?
hmm
Yeah, that's one thing. I think I want to comment on when we give, it makes us happier. I mean, there's science behind this too. Research says this too. And I find that today's culture of me, 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 look at me, give me likes, I am an influencer, or self improvement, or self healers, and self everything, it just makes people more miserable. And we've talked about this on the podcast, as opposed to like, I want to encourage people to look beyond themselves more than set boundaries, say no, go do your own healing, your own work. Like it's always directed towards you, everything. And the message is what we don't hear a lot is do for others, give to others, be there for others. Like, I don't hear that kind of messaging. I'm not sure what's your experience with social media.
Well, I mean, I think the narrative is, especially like moms are depleted and we barely have time for ourselves. And don't ask me to give any more than I'm already giving. I'm depleted, and I think that is true for a lot of people. But I think what we're talking about is, like you said, like we're not, I mean, with a focus on the generosity of others,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of is a reminder that we're not in it alone.
Mm-hmm.
And these small interactions that we have in a day can be enriching.
Yeah.
And it's not creating additional work.
Yes.
And saying something kind to somebody is an act of generosity. It doesn't have to be that you're like making a meal for them or, babysitting for somebody or, it doesn't have to be it can be those things, but those things take time. And so many folks, especially parents, have such limited time.
Mm-hmm.
So this just with a mindset shift and noticing the generosity of others, giving us an opportunity to be thankful. I mean, I guess it can sound kind of, I don't know, it can sound kind of like woo woo or something. But it really doesn't take that much effort or
Yeah.
time or energy.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that's what I'm saying, that orientation has to be there. It's not necessarily what you do, how much you do, but it's the orientation of generosity towards others, that outlook. That's what matters to me. What it can be a glance, it could be a smile, it could be a kind word, right? That's what I'm talking about. But I feel like generosity is a state of mind. And I have a friend who is not generous. And I've been having like difficulty thinking about that. Like, I'm a generous person. I consider myself a generous person, but I have a friend who is, I've noticed certain things that turned me off, and I can consider her behaviors as selfish and self-centered and that she's a user. And like when you find out something like that about the close person, it's like you like all of a sudden you see everything around that topic. You're like, wow, when she did that, wow, So I noticed that and I'm like, wow, we're such fundamentally different people. And upon reflecting, it's not about like the everyday things that she's not generous towards me. It's not about that. It's just about her. And she keeps telling that she's unhappy. And she's like, I don't know how to find happiness. I don't know. I don't know. And our conversation are always around her finding her own happiness. And I've been thinking that, like, yeah, the generosity and happiness are connected. When you're generous towards others, you give, you get, and it just makes you happy. Closed off, and you're always worrying about yourself, how this is going to benefit me, how can I use this person for me, all towards me. I buy it for me, and I never buy you anything. Like, I feel like that plays a role. Obviously, I'm not going to tell her that, but like this has been on top of mind for me, this topic, you
Mhm.
know?
I mean, in terms of I guess I was thinking how gratitude and generosity kind of go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Being, being grateful for the generosity of others. I'm wondering, like, as like a mental exercise, like,
Mm-hmm.
could you challenge yourself to
Oh, so
to find maybe she's not generous in a traditional sense, but are there things that you can be grateful for in that relationship?
I am. Yeah, I am. I think I
Yeah.
am. I do have an open mind, and I am. That's why I still am friends, right?
Yeah.
I'm cutting her off. I accepted that fact. I think my conflict is around how fundamentally, like, how different we are. And I learned something about myself, that generosity is a big value for me. And I would love my friends to be like that. I think that's what it's about. I'm accepting her and the friendship and its scope and what she can give, what she can't. But I learned something about myself that I value that and I want to have. It's a lot better with people who are like me,
Hmm.
you know?
What do you like? What do you get from that relationship with her?
Shared activities, shared interests, some shared activities and shared interests. Yeah, I think that's mostly it.
Mhm.
I'm not sure how she can answer that question. I think she can say more about me because based on the cards I have received over the years, what she's written in those cards, like, you are my village, you are my this, you're my that, stuff like that. But I feel like I can't say the same about her,
Mm,
you know? I feel like I know that I mean more for her, but I can't say the same about her role in my life,
mm,
you know? Not that she doesn't have a role, but it's not as foundational. That's not the right word. Yeah, it's different. Would I be upset if she wasn't in my life? Maybe a little bit, yeah.
mhm.
Because you have history, right, with people. You have shared memories, you have history, and I like her sense of humor and her intellect. I mean, there's some things about that generosity thing, like, just gets under my skin sometimes when I notice something that she has done towards others, or not necessarily towards me
Mm,
always, you know?
mhm.
It's just that bothers me.
Mm.
I don't know why. Sometimes I become like resentful because of her lack of gratitude for what she has in life. And I
Yeah,
find,
I hear your resentment.
yes, I do. But I mean, it also goes a little deeper because she's one of those people who, quote unquote, has everything,
Mm,
and they have champagne problems. And when they complain, I find myself resenting them, because of the hardships that I went through. It's like, dude, this is not a problem, right? So I do have that resentment. A lesson I learned recently around this and around this person. She was complaining about some first world champagne problems of her life. I know what's the right thing to do in the moment as a therapist, as a person. You need to be present. You need to validate and accept your friend's feelings and show up with empathy and compassion. But in that moment, I found it was so hard. I noticed that I'm having a resentment. And I sort of like threw a couple of validation statements, but I could have done more if I didn't feel the resentment. I'm not sure what her experience of that experience was like on a receiving end, but I came home thinking that, wow, like, having gone through a lot of hardship and trauma and adversity made me very empathetic and compassionate as a person. I can easily connect to people's suffering. Like, that's one thing that it did. Except when people complain about like small problems like that, I
mm.
have a hard time with that. So, as a therapist, can you like analyze this? Help me, you know?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. I guess I'm just observing that there's a certain way that you need to perform with her that's kind of false. Like you said, you threw a couple of validating statements at her.
Yeah.
It sounds like it didn't really come from an authentic place.
No, it did not. Yeah. What
Yeah.
what I wanted to say was completely different.
What do you wish you could have said in that moment?
Oh, I would have, what I would have said would have been more advice like change your perspective, like, and I don't think people want to hear that, right? In that moment.
I mean, a friend hat is different than a therapist hat or a parenting
True.
coach
Yeah,
hat.
true. I agree with that. But I feel like still people want to be heard and validated. The first step, like, they don't want your wisdom while you're casually hiking. I don't know. I find it hard.
Yeah. But
Maybe,
I mean, I guess it sounds like you feel like you kind of need to change who you are to be with her.
no, not necessarily, not completely change, but maybe, I don't know, withhold something. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
You're not being generous.
No. Not completely.
Yeah.
Not completely. It's her own generosity that makes me like that. Let me go back, which is, it's a true statement. Before I learned about her. What is the opposite of generosity? Before I learned that she's not a generous person, I was,
Stinginess.
yeah, I don't know. That's not it. But for me, it's a generosity of heart and it's a state of mind. There came a moment that my eyes were open and I saw the reality, like who she is. And once I learned that she's not a generous person, my attitude changed. Before that, I was a very giving, generous, I'm there for you type of way. But that once something happened, I changed and I'm not as giving.
Mhm.
What is that about? That's when it shifted for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it sounds like you feel like she's holding back. So,
I'm not sure if she's holding back. I think that's who she is.
mm,
I think that's who she is. I think I'm holding back my
mhm,
generosity. I could give more, but I'm giving her the minimum now.
mhm,
I'm
mhm.
sort of thinking about what I'm giving and how much, and it's not a good feeling.
Well, I mean, maybe you're withholding because you know that she won't appreciate it
No, because she can't reciprocate.
because she can't reciprocate.
Yeah. I know she appreciates it, but I don't want it to be one-sided in which I am being used, but she's not there for me in the same ways. It's not a even or balanced reciprocal is the word,
Hmm.
you know? And that changed my perspective, my attitude. I'm still her friend. I'm still there, but not in the ways that I was.
Do you
Yeah.
think she's noticed that?
I am dying to know, but I don't know.
So there's like a fear to have this direct conversation with her.
Oh, I would never have that conversation with her. Yeah,
Why? I'm not surprised. I totally understand, but
like,
why?
what would you say? Like, okay, like, how would you even start that conversation? And what's there to say, right? Like, I learned some things about her, I learned some things about me, and I changed how I show up for her.
I mean, I guess I imagine that, there's certain relationships where it's worth taking the risk to say something that is true and potentially going to make the other person feel uncomfortable. Like if it's bothering you this much, you know, and I guess my question would be why does it bother you so much?
I'm trying to find that
And
out.
why maintain the relationship if it is so off-putting to you?
No, I think I'm maintaining it the way it is. It's fine. But I
Mm,
wouldn't do more things, or I know what to do. I don't know. It informs me. It raised my awareness. Maybe I was naive and foolish in the beginning, but now I don't know. I feel like I know something. And that informs me. I'm not cutting her off. I enjoy her company. I do certain things with her and I know what to expect, but still that fact bothers me. And I want to know, why am I so bothered by this? Like, people are different.
hmm.
Do you think I had expectation in the beginning? That I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to reveal too much because what if she's listening to the podcast? I don't want her to know that I'm talking about her like this. There were incidents like, wow, that shocked me completely, like things. Yeah. Your topic of generosity, see, it led us here.
Well, I mean, it's leading us to what do you do with someone who is not generous? What do you do when you're in a relationship when you feel like you're more generous than they are?
Yeah, you
Um,
punish them and you stop being generous towards them. No, I'm kidding.
you get resentful, you shut down, and you complain about them with everybody else except for directing your complaints
Yes.
to them.
Yes. I love that. I love that. Yes. Yes. No, I don't think, I mean, there's maybe when she says I'm miserable, I'm unhappy, that's the time to say. I
I
don't
mean, is
know.
that the time to say,
No,
you
like throw out like research about generosity and happiness and giving. Is that the time to share something like that? Not directly. I
well, it
would never.
doesn't, like you said, it doesn't sound like she's looking for wisdom.
Or maybe she is. I don't know what she's looking
Maybe
for.
she is.
I have not
Yeah,
asked.
I mean, so that would be an entry point. You could say, gosh, I frequently find myself when we're talking, you are, in these difficult situations or you have these difficult experiences, and I'm
Hmm?
not really quite sure how to respond.
Oh,
Like,
that's good.
what do you
Yeah.
need? What do you need from me
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
this time? Like,
Yeah.
what would be helpful?
Yeah. That sounds good. I think
I
I
mean,
could.
I'd be curious. I mean, what do you think she might say?
Whatever she needs in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good one to start, right?
Because I think you're talking more about the relationship rather than like changing her.
Other people have also commented. Other people have said she's using you. Can't you see? Stop giving her too much. I've heard
Mm.
comments from other people who know both of us,
Hmm.
you
Have
know,
you ever had a relationship like that before?
with an ungenerous person.
Hmm. Where
I
you were
don't,
the one giving and it felt very lopsided and you became resentful?
I'm sure, but I don't remember the resentment part. I'm sure many times, right? Yeah, I do remember times, but not specific people. Somehow I have resentment towards this person because in my mind they have everything, right? They have their
Mm.
parents, they have this, they have that, like everything. And
Hmm.
yet it's like obviously they have their problems. I understand,
Hmm.
but yeah, I find it hard. I find it hard. I don't know, maybe she's not attentive towards me. Like, I don't think she acknowledges or understands what I might be going through. And maybe that's my fault because once she said, oh, I shared something and she said, wow, I didn't expect that from you. I always think of you as someone who has their shit together.
Hmm.
I'm like, huh, maybe that's me because maybe I'm not presenting myself in a way that can elicit that kind of response, like empathy and compassion with
Mm.
her or maybe with others. I don't know. Have
Hmm.
you noticed that about me?
Yeah, no, I mean that's interesting because I mean it kind of like what we, resent in other people is often something that we dislike about ourselves, and I mean I don't know how that exactly pertains to this, but I guess, you understandably not feeling like you can come to her with challenges because she's taking up so much space talking about her challenges and her complaints that, it's like you don't want to add to that.
Yeah, probably that. And also, yeah. And I'm not sure if she can give me what I need, but I don't know. I've never asked or tested it,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah, so there is some like withholding there
Hmm.
and
From my part, yeah.
yeah, understandably, and I think sometimes when we know that we have a certain role with people, we don't want to do anything to change their perception of us, if we want them to, if we're the strong one or the one who has it all together, maybe it can feel like we need to keep that up.
But see, in my mind, I don't think I intentionally do that with her, that I have everything together. I feel like I talk about things.
But
Uh,
she
she
assumes that.
assumes that. She assumes
Mhm.
that. Yeah, she verbalized that. She
Yeah.
assumes that for whatever reason. I don't know why. Do you assume that about me? Now I'm like worried. I have to ask everyone
Do I assume what?
that I have everything together, that I don't have problems, things like that.
I don't assume that about you. I mean,
Good.
but you also share very personal,
Yeah.
vulnerable aspects of your life with me
Yeah.
privately,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I know that to be true. I know that I don't see you as this like perfect person with absolutely no flaws and no problems in your life. I mean, you're a human being.
Yeah, good, good. Because that's not what I want to project. And I think I am bringing my whole self to the table when I'm with people. I'm
Hmm.
not omitting my misfortunes, mishaps, or mistakes, and only portraying the good and the positive. Like, I don't do that. Yeah, I'm a very positive person for sure, right?
Hmm.
I'm very forgiving and forgetting. I don't ruminate over the negative things, things like that.
Hmm.
That might be a maybe false signal to people, because people love talking about like past issues and hash them out and about other people in their lives and things like that. I'm not like that. Once something is done, it's done. Like I move on, I go forward. I don't hold grudges or things like that. I think I'm a very positive, happy person. And my threshold for hardships is a lot higher. It has to be like something so monumental to make me feel helpless and powerless. I think that's what it is. That's why people think like I have my everything together and I'm like this highly, not perfect, but like, I don't know. Somebody said fearless the other day, you're our fearless leader and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, like this is how they see me. This is not right. But I think maybe that's it.
Hmm. That's how she sees you.
I think, yeah, she sees me as that. And let's just talk about that. I think how people see us, it's kind of is flattering sometimes. I'm not gonna lie, right? Like especially if it's something positive, like we wanna sort of live up to that standard and always maintain that, right? Is that true? Do you find yourself doing that?
Not wanting to disappoint someone
I guess, yeah. I'm not sure if that's about disappointment. Yeah, probably.
or
Like if
being vulnerable.
Yeah, I like if somebody says, "Wow, you're such a such person," and I feel like they have an expectation for you to always be like that, and they
Mm.
see you a certain way. And when you digress and show a different part of you, I'm not sure. Like it puts a little pressure to be a certain way for that person,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on, I mean, are you talking personal relationships, not like a professional?
Yeah, yeah, personal. I'm talking about personal. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, like, I mean, with our children, we obviously want to be authentic, but obviously there's certain things that we wouldn't share with our children
hmm,
that we would share with our friends,
yes,
and, we want our children to see us as like competent, caring captains of the ship of our family, right? But there's times where you break or cry or something.
yeah.
And it's
That's
important for them to see you as human, as a
yeah,
whole human being.
yeah.
I think with friends too, it's important to, I don't know what is a friend, but somebody we can be our, most authentic selves with.
I feel
And
like I have that with this person. Like I can be humorous and say things and make commentary about life and things. Like I feel like that's there, part of it, right? This relationship, yes, it has that aspect.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I'm noticing certain things. Yeah. The things that I mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah. This resentment thing is a new thing.
Mhm. When did it start?
Well, I'm not gonna share it. It started recently. Obviously, it started recently. That's why I'm thinking about this, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
when your eyes are open to something, when you see something you can't unsee anymore, you're like, I'm not a fool, like to do something for you and you're not reciprocating.
Yeah.
Like it makes you feel like that, right? Thinking about generosity. Like, I mean, you can't just be generous and do things for other people. And I don't know, do we need reciprocation or can we just be generous without anything attached? Like, yeah. Or are we talking about different things?
Well, I think different relationships have different levels of reciprocity.
Okay, let
Right?
me
Like
hear.
with our
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
with our kids as they get older, maybe we have more of an expectation as their brain develops and they're capable of maybe understanding our perspective a little bit more, that we would like maybe for them to become more generous, but we don't expect that of them,
Mm.
to do things for us.
Yeah.
I know that's a unique relationship, But even with our partners, maybe our partners have certain areas where they're more generous than others. And friends, I think, I don't know if it has to be like 50-50.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
it's not. Yeah, I don't expect it to be 50-50, but there's different types of friends. You know what? This whole thing started when I learned about Aristotle's friendship model. And so I took a class, right, at Princeton University, religion, philosophy, and existential commitments. And so there were different topics. And I think in that class, I had this realization that Aristotle identifies three types of friends: the virtue friendship, the user friendship, like based on like using you, utilitarian, I think it's called. She is utilitarian.
but in terms of who's using who, she's using
She's
you.
using me. And Aristotle says that if like in a friendship, one person can be utilitarian and the other person can be different. It doesn't have to be, or it could be the same, right? Like you both can be in a utilitarian relationship.
I mean, I have it here, friendship of utility,
Pleasure and virtue.
friendship of pleasure, and friendship of virtue.
Okay, so yes, this is from my lecture. Utility, those who love for utility love the other not in his own right, but insofar as they gain some good for themselves. That totally describes her.
But you're not getting any good from it.
Let's continue. Let me read all three. Pleasure, that's another type. Loving someone not because of his character, but because he's pleasant. And three, virtue. Completed friendship is the friendship of good people similar in virtue. I would consider my relationship with you being a virtue relationship and pleasure because I get pleasure from you, but I think fundamentally it's about your character, it's about who you are. That's what I like, right? That's how I see my friendship towards you. I think my friendship towards that person is more like pleasure. In the moment I have a shared activity with her or I do something with her, it's pleasurable.
Mhm.
But I feel like she sees me as a utilitarian. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think this lecture made me be aware of it.
Mhm. Well, it's interesting because the notes that came up through AI, Google,
Uh huh.
whatever, it says the friendship of pleasure is common in youth. These friendships are also fleeting and change as tastes and preferences shift.
Yeah.
So I don't know how accurate that is to what
Yeah.
you learned, but it's interesting that it can be fleeting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to look through my notes from this lecture, from the handouts that teacher gave us.
And same with the friendship of utility. It says the nature of these friendships are often temporary, and when the utility ceases,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what to make of that?
I don't know. I mean, it's just an interesting thing to learn. How does this help you? Like, does this evoke anything in you?
Well, I like that the one of the aspects of the friendship of virtue is that, not only do you love each other for who you are and who you aren't, I would add, you're also helping each other become better people. And I do feel that with you. I do feel like I see you as a whole person, you see me as a whole person, and talking with you, being with you makes me a better person. I would hope you feel the same way, but
I do. I do. I definitely do. No, I do. I definitely feel the difference from like being with you and being with that other friend. I know the difference. I mean, sometimes it's hard to verbalize those things, right? Because these are feelings.
yeah.
Yeah, but having taken this lecture sort of solidified, gave language to certain things. It was very helpful,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, I know that there's all kinds of reasons why we have to maintain relationships with people, but this is bringing me back to our other podcast about friendship. And, sometimes the friendship kind of can expire in a way. And it's not that it has to be like a big blow up or even like a final meeting or anything like that. It just kind of just drifts. You'd kind of drift apart, you know? And but I know that you're also like a very like loyal person.
Yeah.
And I know you're not talking about wanting to end the relationship with this person.
No, 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 I don't. No, no,
But
I
I mean,
really
I
don't.
guess what I'm wondering is why, it clearly triggers you and it's frustrating you. And I think you're just in the middle of kind of figuring out what's next in the relationship.
Yeah. No, I've already sort of figured out. I've tamed myself, right? The way I show up and what I give, how much I give. I've changed that. And I'm okay with that. It feels sufficient because I don't want
Well,
to.
then why are we talking about it?
No, but that resentment part was like I was curious about it, right? Like,
Yeah.
what is that about? But now that I'm talking about this, I think it's helpful to talk about things, not necessarily to find a resolution, but just to talk about things so that you know that it's okay. It's not a big deal. It can live like that.
Yes, that's right. I actually, my first yoga class of the year, my yoga teacher shared a reading with us, and it included the phrase like something along the lines of, let us practice being with, not fixing. And I think that that is so important in so many different situations. But I think that's what you're talking about here. Like you're willing to just be with the challenges of this particular dynamic, and you're not looking necessarily to fix it, just kind of being with it.
Yeah. And knowing what's available. I think that's another thing. Another lesson I learned from this podcast with Oren J. Sofer. I remember that conversation so vividly. You know, some conversations from the podcast, some phrases stay with you for a long time. I think I interviewed Oren J. Sofer maybe like in 2017, but what he said to this day is ringing
That's
in my
almost 10 years ago.
it's ringing in my ears. He said, and the tone I remember he said it. It's that episode is about mindful communication. I since had him on the podcast again, but that first conversation was so powerful. He said, "Look, like in certain relationship, you just have to sort of accept what's available, not
Mhm.
that." What you wish that person can give you and be
Mhm.
resentful and ask for more and they're not giving you. You just have to see, you see, and the way he said it, it was so beautiful. He said, what's available in this relationship? And I think that changed me from that moment. It made me
Mhm.
more accepting of things. And I know this is what's available in this relationship, you
Mhm.
know, but it shouldn't be that I give more. You know, I don't want to overgive. That makes me feel a little foolish. I don't know what's that about, but I still want to be generous and I'm going to be who I am. Obviously, I can't change that, right? I can't change that. But yeah, I don't know. Have you ever felt that when you give something to someone, like it's in your judgment, it's too much? Or like, I mean, again, can we measure kindness? Can we measure generosity? It comes from a bitterness place, right?
I mean, I think sometimes when we are in a relationship that maybe is not just challenging in the ways that you're describing, but almost in a way where it's hurtful to be in the relationship with the person, I think we can have the tendency to think, oh, if we just give more love, give more compassion or empathy to that person, that it will create a shift. And in some cases, it just doesn't.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to recognize when that's the case.
Yeah.
Like you can throw so much generosity at a person, but it can actually have the opposite effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, does that mean that's not generous anymore? Like is it more like manipulative, calculative? Do you know what I mean?
I mean, it might be, kind of taking a step back the
Or
way that,
self-preservation, right?
yeah,
Because like
kind of, yeah.
don't feel like I want to be foolish and taken advantage of and just give, 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 and then no reciprocation.
Hmm.
right? It's not a charity. This is a friendship.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, sometimes the generosity is in taking that step back and giving yourself some distance.
And that's self-compassionate. I think that's generosity towards yourself,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
that generosity has to include yourself too. You don't want to just give like that. Yeah, I don't have the right words, but I feel like, yeah, it can be boundaried so
Hmm.
that you are protected and that's self-compassionate. Because if you're just giving like endlessly, selflessly, then that doesn't feel good for you sometimes.
Oh yeah. I mean, and there's nothing like, I mean, that just is parenting in a nutshell, right? If you are just what you think you're doing is being a good parent by being generous and being like so giving and you're depleted, I mean,
Yeah.
that's not really generosity. That's being like kind of a martyr.
Self-neglectful. Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you look up the definition of generosity? Curious.
sure.
This is a good topic, by the way. I love talking to you. Look what, like, from one word, we elicited a whole conversation, a therapy session. I love this.
Well, this is, I don't know. I mean, the Oxford English Dictionary defines it as the quality of being kind and generous, but maybe what is generous?
Yeah,
Generous.
exactly. I don't like that definition.
Showing a readiness to give more of something than is strictly necessary or expected.
I like the part about not expected.
Yeah,
I like that part.
yeah.
That what makes a generous action.
Yeah, like acknowledging the kindness of an employee at a store is like they're not expecting it
Yeah,
and it's not even necessary.
true.
But when you do it anyway, that's kind of where the like the warmth lives, the warmth of the generosity lives.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess you have to lower your expectations like you're doing. Like you're in relationship with someone and you feel like they're not being as generous as maybe you expect or want them to be or need them to be,
Yeah.
then, then yeah, then you kind of have to lower the bar.
Yeah. Because then it feels hurtful, you feel resentful, it doesn't feel right. Then your generosity towards, like you know what I mean? I don't want to stop being kind and generous towards her or towards any other person. But I also don't want to be foolish, you know?
Well, maybe, I mean, maybe
Yeah.
maybe her expectation, maybe you sense her expectation of you being like endlessly generous is what causes the resentment.
Yeah, could be. Exactly. But that's a good one. Wow, I feel like this was a good topic. I'm complete with this, the generosity topic. Do you feel like you have things to say about it? Any thoughts or commentary that you didn't have a chance to express?
No,
Yeah.
no. I think it's more, having this conversation with you is like kind of like more stuff for me to process and like kind of take forward and keep thinking about it. I think it's really interesting and I appreciate you sharing, your personal situation. I think a lot of people can relate to what you shared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What else? What have you been reading, watching? By the way, when we recorded that end of year episode in which we shared what showed we had watched, oh my gosh, I'd forgotten so many. After we recorded, I went back and I'm like, wow, I should have shared this. I should have talked about this. I watched interesting documentaries I forgot to mention. I was like, wow, that I felt like I don't know. I guess it was in the evening and we felt tired. I felt like, wow, I should have said this. I should have said that. There were so many things I wanted to share, but I didn't mention. But one thing I will mention, I don't know if you have watched it, that I think you can call it a documentary, but that's not a documentary. It's an interview with Jane Goodall. Have you
Oh,
seen that?
no, I actually heard like an extended clip on the radio of it, and I really do want what
It's
streaming service?
that was on Netflix. I forgot the name of it, but I think it's the final words of Jane Goodall. I
Yeah,
believe
like she
that's
knew it wasn't going to be released until after her death.
yes. And
Yeah.
she died like a couple of months after.
Hmm.
And wow, what a fantastic conversation. You see her spirit, her
Yeah, talk about
okayness.
generous.
Talk about generous, like her life. I didn't know much about her life. She shared a lot about her struggles with her son, her marriages, her work, and like she was a devoted, she was a mom, but she was devoted to her career, married to her career. And, she was a big, change maker in the world and an advocate. It's a fantastic, it's kind of odd, right? The person has died and they're talking about that they're gonna die and that this is gonna air right after they die. It's an interesting feeling. And I thought, wow, what a great idea this is in the world of like video and technology. Capturing interviews like this is powerful. We can even do with our loved ones, with our aging, ailing parents or kids. And I think it's beautiful to capture that. I highly recommend that. It's like
Mhm.
an hour long.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. I do want to see that.
Yeah, that was a good one. I had watched a documentary about, can't remember the name of it. It's a tech person. I think Brian Johnson is his name. And he is thrown himself into anti-aging, defy aging and dying paradigm. And he's doing all sorts of experimentation, the way he eats, the way he exercises, the therapists and things he's injecting and doing to stay young. It's incredible. That's an interesting documentary. It's very like on the edge and out there, but it's like a little mind stretching. What's
Hmm.
for me, it wasn't like I don't want to live forever, but what's interesting is where the science is with all of this new research and technologies and what's available for humans. And his relationship, at the heart of it was his relationship with his son. He was a Mormon. He left his family and he's divorced, but he reconnects with his teenage son and they live together. They exercise together. It's beautiful. That part was beautiful. And how he felt lonely. And at the end, he creates a community. And it was quite interesting. Yeah.
Hmm.
I can't remember the title of it. I should have looked that up. But yeah, that was another documentary.
I watched one of the first things I watched this year all the way through was Dying for Sex with Michelle Williams.
Where is it on?
I think it's on Netflix. But actually, based on a true story, based on a podcast, a woman discovers that she has terminal cancer and she leaves her husband to kind of explore her sexual desires. And it's one of the most beautiful shows I've ever watched. She actually just won the Golden Globe last night for her role in it.
Oh,
But
and she plays in it?
no, the actress Michelle Williams plays the main character who is dying. So
Yeah.
it's an 8 episode series that was inspired by the podcast, which was the woman and her best friend talking about her journey. So I highly recommend that. It's obviously addressing mortality, but also, this particular person's own like sexual experiences. There is a history of some sexual trauma that comes up but it's beautifully done. Beautifully done. I highly recommend it.
Wow. That's interesting. I will put that on my list. Yeah. I haven't watched any shows yet per se. I was on the plane. I watched this show called Shrinking.
Mm.
Some parts of it, I don't have Apple TV. It is on Apple TV. It was okay. I tried a few shows people had recommended, like Severance, and didn't click with me. I don't like sci-fi stuff.
Mm.
They were both sci-fi themed. I didn't like it. I like more like based on true stories, relational stuff, like
Mhm.
psychological thrillers and dramas. That's what I would
Mhm.
comedy. Yeah, I haven't watched anything this year yet. That's good. I'll put that on my list. What are we doing with our lives? Are you excited about the new year? Are you setting goals? You know what my neighbor told me, my friend? She decided to create a monthly photo goals for herself and she prints it and puts it on her refrigerator. In the middle, it says January, and she has photos of the things that she wants to accomplish and do. Very simple stuff like
It's nice.
make soup, have tea with friend, stuff like that. It's sort of like I thought, wow, this is so great, attainable, small, and at the end of the year you can have all the printouts if you print
Mm.
them and
Yeah.
look at your year in a holistic way instead of thinking, what did I do?
Hmm.
Yeah, I thought that was clever. I may do that since it's still January.
That is nice. Well, you could do it seasonally. I was just thinking, like, you could
Yeah, that's
do
true.
by the
Yeah,
season, because I know that, different things become available as the weather changes.
that's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. I like that better. Yeah.
I went to a winter seed sowing workshop in our town. We have a sustainable organization that's all about, the environment. And so it's using plastic milk jugs to plant seeds now for the spring, and it lives outside, and you cut like the top off, just leave the handle of the milk jug, and you fill it with soil, poke holes in the bottom, plant your seeds, and then you close it and you make two holes and use like a little tie to keep it closed. So it's safe from like the squirrels. You leave the cap off so the water and moisture gets in. And that felt like made me excited for the spring and to like know that I'm planting seeds. I'm already starting my gardening, even though it's so cold outside.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I love living in New Jersey for that reason because we have the four seasons, right? I
Hmm.
know people complain about the cold winter and things like that, but just to know that we're gonna go into spring and that transition when you feel the air, the sun is different, the light quality is different, take off your jackets. I just love that. Like transition from one season to another feels, especially from winter to spring, is exhilarating. It's amazing feeling.
It is. Yeah.
And maybe we can like bring that analogy to life and life transitions because when we are in life transitions, we don't feel like that,
Mhm.
right? When you are in between things, you're not as excited about the next season or what's to come. You're always worried and anxious and uncertain and more stressed out. I feel like transitions are not always bad. They're not bad or good. They're just in between spaces. And I
Well, that's
love
what here, hold
learning.
on. I
Yeah.
wanted to show you my this board in my kitchen that I change not frequently, but
Yeah.
this is my sentence for 2026 to start off.
Change is
Change
the
is
only
the only
constant.
constant,
Nice.
because I think it is easy to associate change with just being bad. Change is
Yeah.
bad,
Yeah.
but it maybe can be uncomfortable. But, a lot of us learned to kind of brace ourselves when things start to change and be really resistant. And it's important to remember that, you know, everything changes
All the time.
all the time.
I am changed from the moment we started this conversation. Look how much
Hmm.
change happened in me in terms of my mood, my state, my perspective, my ideas, everything. It's like it's so, I feel like when we think of change is happening all the time around us, within us. And I feel like we need to be okay with that and comfortable. And always I like to draw parallels between us and nature and the trees and the living things in the world. That helps me
Hmm.
a lot. It makes me more grounded and okay with things,
Hmm.
you know. When you were speaking earlier There was a quote by Albert Einstein that came to me that I wanted to share, but I didn't. So I want to share that. I don't know if it fits in this moment, but there are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle.
Mhm.
When we were
I
talking
love that.
about generosity and state of mind and being present and the connection always being available to us, I feel like, yeah,
Yeah. Well, and I think it's important to keep that in mind because I think like in our current culture, it can be harder and harder to find those miracles, but at least if you're looking for them and you believe they're out there, then you are able to find them and see them
yeah,
despite all the challenges and sadness and things that are also going on at the same time.
yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think things are there. We can just see them, choose to see them and access them and touch them and not be scared to make things available for us, whether that's connection, intimacy with other people or receiving love. Yeah, I like that. I love this conversation. This is so good. Thank you for your generosity, for your presence, and for being a friend. I hope I'll get to see you more frequently this year. I feel like I don't see you often.
I've gotten a lot busier, but I do want to say that I think Mondays are going to typically be a day that I will have, I'll even gladly keep an hour open if you want.
Yay, of course I do. Yeah, that would be great. That would be great. I think it's so good. It's nourishing and uplifting. And I recorded this, and maybe we can release this podcast as a podcast, part of it. I don't know. But yeah, I always enjoy talking to you. It's a different quality, like thinking about different friendships, you know, appreciating what each person gives you and wanting the same thing from everyone. I think is also another lesson,
Mhm.
having different flowers in your garden, from gardenia to hydrangea to roses and tulips,
Mhm.
they all have their own scent and beauty. That concludes today's conversation, my dear listener, and I hope you found this episode helpful and inspiring. Be sure to hit that follow button so you don't miss future episodes, and take a moment to leave a rating and review. It really helps others find the show. I would love to hear your thoughts and takeaways. Join the conversation in the Authentic Parenting Facebook group or visit the contact page at authenticparenting.com/contact to get in touch. Authentic Parenting is an ad-free show, and your donations is what makes this podcast possible. Support the show by visiting authenticparenting.com/support or becoming a patron at patreon.com. Your contributions make it possible for me to continue bringing you weekly episodes. And as always, connect to the present moment, to yourself and your children. Until next week, I am Anna Seewald. Thank you so much for listening. This episode was edited and produced by Ami Noor. If you need expert support to bring your dream podcast to life, from editing to full production, Ami Noor can help make it happen. You'll find his link in the show notes.